Today on the NBA on TNT. Oh, I'm sorry. Today, the NBA on NBC. I'm sorry. Today, the NBA on the Hoop Dreams podcast. Agee, man, we got so much to cover in such a short time, but we're going to run down
Yes.
this list. Today, we're going to talk about, could this possibly be the last time we see Chuck, Charles, they the same, Barkley, because I got to throw him out there again because he's an original, Kenny, EJ, and Shaq on TNT. Also, we're going to hit the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference. Also, we're going to talk about what players can really be the difference in these tournaments. And finally, we want to talk about Caitlin Clark and the WNBA season that's happening right now. So, man, let's just get into this thing. I don't know about you, AG, but this is crazy. This could possibly be the end of an era. We're talking about over 20-something years that the NBA has been on TNT. Inside the NBA, hosted by Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Shaquille O'Neal. Man, what would that mean as this comes to an era if they're not able to get the contract back with the NBA? What's your thoughts on that, man?
Man, it'd just be terrible for viewership of those people who tuned in for TNT. I think they would, those followers, those people who watch that show probably just would, they want to get their basketball, so they're just gonna watch it on NBC. But the impact I think that show has had, I mean, they've won Emmys for God's sake. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that show has been around, for a long time. I mean, people have grew up on that show. They basketball, getting they information, and then those guys are all, they got great characters to them. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that show can be duplicated on NBC. You know what I'm saying? Like, they couldn't get some other guys on NBC to do a show like that. So, I mean, it would be sad.
And I don't know
but
if those
hey,
guys can even go over there and duplicate it either, because Ernie Johnson has already made it clear that he's not leaving TNT because he does a multifaceted of things for Turner Sports. He does baseball, he does hockey. I mean,
yeah.
he's man, Mr. Universal over there. But guys like Shaq, Kenny, and Charles, I think more so with Charles and Kenny because they do the NCAA. I think they'll still be relevant. I'm not sure what this means for Shaq, and plus, will NBC really want to duplicate what they were doing or create their own? So, man, it's up in the air, but I agree with you. I think this is like, they've been in our homes, my goodness, man, since what, the early 90s?
Hey, but I do know one thing. If the last show that's coming, like they will do, they will go back in the archives, you know what I'm saying? Almost like a retiring the show. You know what I'm saying? That will be special to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we could be watching the end of an era of seeing the NBA on TNT. So as you know, they are covering the Western Conference exclusively. And speaking of the Western Conference, right now, man, hey, it's 1-0 Dallas. And, they play again this coming Friday. Interesting enough, after watching that first game, man, I don't know if Minnesota, I'm not going to say that they're not ready. I don't know if Minnesota, did they underestimate Dallas? Because, after you beat a team like Denver, that is supposed to be like the epitome of NBA basketball right now, did Minnesota underestimate them? And can they recover from this to make this a competitive series?
I mean, well, my thing is I don't think they underestimated them. You know what I'm saying? They just had got through a tough game 7. You know what I'm saying? With the defending champs. Well, what you get one day off and then you got to travel. So nobody. Well, you're right. They was at home, but Dallas coming there, and I think how you just not up for a game. These guys haven't been to the Western Conference Finals in a minute, so they just probably thought it was another game that, oh, okay, we just won this series. Let's just, get us some rest and come out and play. But Anthony Edwards, then, he wasn't himself all the way. It was just one of them games where they was like, almost like a testing feeling, because they played each other in the regular, regular Western Conference. They know each other, you know what I'm saying? But the playoffs is a different animal. Guys are, scheming. They got certain things of how we gonna stop this player, defensive strategies and stuff like that. So, but then again, you still have that Luka and Kyrie that can go off and carry them and put the team on their back and say, I don't care what you two do, Cat, Ant-Man, Jaden Williams, I don't care what y'all do. We still got the two best dudes on the floor right here, and they own the night.
Well, I'll tell you this, man. I agree with all of that, and that actually pushed me to this. If who's going to be the difference maker in that series? I'm watching the game last night, and I'm looking at Dallas. Obviously, you just said that Kyrie and Luka gonna do what they do, because that's a luxury to have. Because Luka wasn't hitting, as my old high school coach used to say, in the first half, Luka couldn't hit a bull in the butt with a snow shovel. I mean, he couldn't make nothing. But Kyrie was on fire. Like, we saw video game Kyrie last night. I mean, he couldn't miss. But they're gonna need other guys. So my question is, who's gonna be the difference maker in this series that can change this series going one way or the other?
I say the difference makers for the Dallas Mavericks is gonna be the bench. Those other guys getting involved. They're gonna need at least two guys from Dallas off their bench. I don't know who it's going to be, Lively, Gaff, I don't know. One of them two guys got to have at least better, almost 18, 19 somewhere points on them. For Minnesota, I feel that Cat is going to have to tweak his game a little bit and have to get in the post more, because his size is just too big for Jaden Williams. I mean, for PJ Washington trying to guard him. That dude took 9 threes, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, somebody, and that's what I'm saying. Mike Conley, the point guard, the coach, somebody got to say, hey, Cat, get your big ass down there, 3 trips down the floor, and we going right to you on the post, bro. And we'll work from there. And that didn't happen. So they're going to have to make some adjustments.
But I do think you're pointing out a lot of the who guys we believe that should be doing it. I think each team is going to have to have this unsung hero. I'm watching this game yesterday, man, and I said, what happened to Tim Hardaway Jr.? I mean, he just
MIA.
Yes. Where's he been? I mean, but who's been, and this is just my pick on this. The guy that has been most impressive to me, it's been this Derrick Jones Jr. Who is this dude, man?
Man, he done been in with the Bulls. He done been with Miami. Dog, that dude can play basketball, man. He's a basketball player.
Absolutely, on the head. I love what this Dallas team look, and they so unorthodox to me though, man. I just go like, it's like at first it seemed like it's just Kyrie then Luka. It's like they switch Kyrie Luka, Luka Kyrie, but then all of a sudden, you get PJ Washington out of the blue. And, man, these two big dudes they got, come on, man. If I'm an NBA team right now, I need to – listen, this has always been my take. Give me 2 6'10", 7-foot dudes that can run, jump, skinny. Get up and down the floor. We got a chance to win the basketball game.